Hi everyone, welcome to English with Jackie. I'm Jackie and I'm here to teach you American English. If you're new, please consider subscribing and clicking on that notification bell. And if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. With me being sick over the holidays and the current COVID-19 pandemic, I want to use this opportunity to teach you some American English related to getting sick. There are a lot of bugs going around lately. Usually we call insects bugs, but here we are referring to common viruses and bacteria that can cause illness. When Americans are sick, we usually say, "I don't feel well." Americans may also say, "I don't feel good," which isn't technically grammatically correct, but it is widely used. A related phrase is, "I don't feel so good," which means you have a sudden onset of symptoms, such as you're suddenly very nauseous. An interesting phrase we use when we're sick is, "I'm feeling under the weather." And sometimes we are so tired and sick, we might say, "I feel like I got hit by a bus." Just think about that feeling if you were actually hit by a bus. You have to be pretty sick to feel that way. Now that it's April, we are currently at the end of cold and flu season. Keep in mind, we usually say we catch a cold, but we catch the flu. A cold or common cold is something I came down with recently. Cold symptoms are usually pretty mild. You may be congested, which means your nose is stuffed up and you can't breathe through your nose. You might also have a lot of mucus in your throat and nose. And when the mucus keeps coming out of your nose, we call it a runny nose. So if you have a runny nose, you probably need to use some Kleenex, which is a brand of tissue, to blow your nose to remove the snot, which is a casual word for the mucus coming out of your nose. You can also have a headache, and if the headache is severe, we call it a pounding headache. To pound means to hit something very hard. If you have a cold, you should drink lots of fluid to stay hydrated. If not, you could get dehydrated. You might also use a humidifier at night to help you breathe better. Usually, over-the-counter medicines will help to relieve some of the symptoms. However, that may not always be enough. Sometimes a cold can turn into a sinus infection. That's a condition where the areas around your nose and face are inflamed and infected. Everything is all clogged up. You can't smell anything and you can barely hear. It's not very fun. You might have to go to the doctor to get a prescription for antibiotics to clear up the infection. If you have an irritation in your throat, we call it a tickle in your throat. You might cough a lot at night. You may toss and turn, which means you move around a lot, and have trouble getting a good night's sleep. Now let's talk about the flu. The flu is short for influenza and is more serious. In addition to all of the cold symptoms, you might also have a fever, which means a high body temperature. And as a result, you may have chills. That means you feel cold and might shiver. Other symptoms are sore throat and muscle aches, which means you have pain all over your body. You probably feel like you got hit by a bus. I will usually turn the heater on to make my room nice and toasty and fix myself a hot drink. We always get the flu shot, which is the flu vaccination, with the hope of preventing the flu. Unfortunately, this year's vaccination was not very effective against this particular strain. My daughter got sick a couple of months ago and contracted a very contagious stomach bug, which is the informal term for the stomach flu. One of her classmates was sick at school and everyone got infected. My daughter kept throwing up, which means to vomit. Vomit is more of a medical term, so we more commonly say throw up. She couldn't keep anything down. We were really worried about her becoming dehydrated and almost had to bring her into the ER, which is short for emergency room. She then gave it to us, and we had diarrhea and had to visit the bathroom frequently. My son also got it, but his case was pretty mild. I had to call in sick to work and let my boss know. I tried to sleep in, which means not waking up too early, and also go to bed early and not stay up too late. I'm sure the novel coronavirus is on everyone's mind right now. Novel means new, so it's a new strain of coronavirus, and there is still a lot we don't know about it. It appears the incubation period is relatively long. Incubation period is the time from the moment you get exposed until you show symptoms. The virus can lie dormant for days, and a lot of the infected cases can be undetectable. Some people can be asymptomatic, which means they don't show any signs or symptoms and can still be contagious. When people are exposed, meaning they come in contact with the virus, they are placed into quarantine, so no contact with others, to prevent the virus from spreading person to person. This virus can lead to pneumonia, which is an infection that can cause fluid in the lungs and it makes it hard to breathe. Every country is trying their best to contain the outbreak, and I hope scientists can figure something out to control it as soon as possible. Some cities and countries also are in lockdown or have a shelter-in-place mandate. Shelter-in-place means an order from the government that asks you to stay at home. Lockdown is stricter, meaning you cannot go out except for essential tasks. Essential tasks are tasks that are critical to your survival. They are not optional. This is usually limited to getting food and medications. These social distancing measures help slow the spread of the virus. The medical staff are on the front lines to fight for us. One of the major issues has been lack of PPE in the hospitals, which is a term normally used by healthcare workers and stands for personal protective equipment. It includes masks, gloves, gowns, and face shields. These are vital to prevent the healthcare workers from contracting the virus. We also need to do our part to help. Here are a few things that we can do. Wash your hands frequently. Practice social distancing by keeping 6 feet away from others while in public and avoiding physical contact with people who do not share your home. Avoid handshakes. Self-quarantine if you are sick. Avoid any group gathering. Stay at home and go out only for essential tasks, such as getting groceries or medications. Remember, it's okay to stock up, which means to buy a bit more than you usually do, let's say for an extra week or 2. However, try not to hoard. Here, that means buying large quantities of things that you probably won't use up for months to come. Let's share resources and help each other out to get through this difficult time. We can overcome this by working together. My thoughts and prayers are with those who are suffering, and hopefully this will be over sooner than later. All right, I hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment and let me know what you think. So wash your hands, exercise, and eat healthy. And remember, in order to improve your English, you have to learn it, use it, and live it. Stay healthy and see you next time.